November, December, Radnor Township Shade Tree Meeting, ready to start tonight, Tuesday, December 2nd. This meeting accounts for our November and our December, so we have an earlier part of December for 2 months. So we have a pretty good schedule tonight. If we can start with our first on my list is 503 Conestoga, regrade backyard, 270 cubic yards of soil kept on site. Nobody? Maybe they're late, or
Maybe we could,
they here, Steve, will table till the end?
yeah, maybe they'll come at that point. That'd be great.
All right. Okay, next up for us is Villanova University Butler Annex Building, demolish existing building, construct new facilities building.
Hello. I am Brendan Dorley from Associated Engineering Consultants. Just wanted to describe the project briefly to you guys. We are located, the project is located on the southeast corner of Ithan and Lancaster Avenue. And currently there's the Butler Annex that is being demolished. And behind it, there's some on-grade features, basically a lot of gravel. What we're proposing to do is remove the actual Butler Annex building, and what's represented in the shaded area is going to be a complete building addition as well. As far as trees are concerned, we're not proposing to remove any trees. Well, there is an evergreen hedge along Villanova's track that is within our construction area, but as far as trees, there's a row of trees that are along this asphalt driveway, but they are separated from the construction area by a 6 or 8 foot high concrete brick wall. So all of our construction for the building addition and some regrading is beyond that wall, aside from some utility trenching that occurs through one of these driveway accesses out to an inlet and gas and sanitary. And all of the excavation in front of that brick wall is going to be within the existing pavement as it is. We are proposing to install tree protection fence just behind the curb in the area that we are trenching in that area, but there really isn't any other impacts to the trees as part of this project.
What sheet number is that?
I'm sorry, it's C1.3, it's the 6th sheet. It says soil erosion control, but we also show the temporary tree fence as well.
Can you just point out the construction access again? I didn't quite follow you there.
The construction access,
Yeah.
it would probably be through this driveway, which is accessed just on the other side of the press box of the stadium, and it would be through this pathway through here.
So all the demolition debris and everything is going to be brought through that corridor between those trees there?
More than likely, yes. That's the widest access. Again, this wall really breaks apart, limits the access. There is a narrow access over here, but I think this would probably be the main access point.
So most of your, most of your construction equipment and your materials will probably be stockpiled in these parking areas as construction progresses?
We are proposing the field of the track to be the laydown area for all the materials on site, but they do have to gain access probably through that point.
That access is macadam, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would it be feasible just to maybe extend that tree protection on the Route 30 side of both sets of trees on either side of your access point? Because that's going to be such a kind of a funneled area.
Yes, you're referring to this side down here?
Well, and the side toward the stadium too, where you have,
Extended all the way? Yeah,
exactly. and-
Absolutely.
And on the, and it would be on the left of that too.
Okay, that's not a problem.
Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a 7.5-foot access in width? If it's,
It's pretty tight. I don't know.
what can you
That
get through
access
there?
is probably closer to
Bobcat?
15 or
No.
20 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry, my scale says 1 inch 30 foot.
Yeah, I think it's about 15 feet.
It's pretty tight.
It's 1 inch equals 30 feet at 24 by 36 inch size paper. I'm not sure what scale that would be at 11 by 17.
There's a scale.
But these are shrunk down, though.
Yeah, but everything would be shrunk, wouldn't it?
So the scale would really, well, yeah, right. But it still says inch.
Yeah. I scale 15 feet.
All right, great, I think it was probably half scale from being shrunk down.
Also, sir, are these trees labeled anywhere here?
I don't believe the species are labeled. The sizes are identified on sheet C1.1, which is 2 sheets prior. But no, we do not have the species identified.
No, on 1.1, it looks like on 1.1 they have the sizes, right? But not the-
Yes, sizes but not species. They vary generally between 18 and the largest one is 30 inches, which is closest to the stadium. And the ones on the Lancaster Avenue side of the driveway are about 12 inch in caliper.
Well, you were mentioning evergreens, but those aren't evergreens. Those are shade trees, right?
If you look along the western side of the track, the curve of the track, there's an evergreen hedge,
Right, okay,
and that has to be removed
right.
for the building addition. But I don't even think you can see that from the street anyway.
Just on C13, to the right of your access area there, there's that row of 5 trees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's a number of black boxes toward the track inside of your limited disturbance fence.
Yes.
What are they?
Those are existing sheds,
Oh, they're existing sheds
yeah,
right there?
storage sheds,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Could we maybe wrap that tree protection on the inside there also, then?
We can,
On both sides? So we'd fully kind of encapsulate those 2 row of trees in tree protection?
inside of the brick wall,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Okay. So it'll be along the outside? The inside and the outside will be protected for
So
those?
the full drip line of the
Exact-
trees.
For those
Okay.
2 rows of trees?
Okay. And then on the Lancaster Avenue side of the curbing of the
As-
driveway as well, is that?
As well, yeah, all the
Okay.
way from the steps
Yes,
going eastward down toward, to the entrance of the stadium then.
okay,
And that will just be wrapped to the sidewalk.
Yeah, basically where the driveway kind of bumps out a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
This was before the planning commission last night, and one of the issues that was required is that they have the gas line and sanitary line being 10 feet apart.
Yes.
You're going to do that underneath the access driveway there, or what?
Well, one of the things that we discovered after we had submitted is there's actually two parallel sanitary sewer lines. So this sanitary sewer that we show is not going to be replaced in the same position. So we're not going to have a new sanitary line. We're not going to have a new sanitary line parallel to the new gas line.
They'll just be more than 10 feet apart, right?
We won't have to extend sanitary all the way to the manhole where it's shown on this plan.
Oh, I see.
We're gonna tie it in back a manhole further in the site.
Will you be able to, you're going to install a new gas line, though, is that right?
Yes.
Will that still be 10 feet from the existing sanitary line?
That we can make sure PICO does.
The issue is, if that sanitary line's run out the center of that 15-foot wide driveway, then 10 feet away is going to be 2 feet into the root structure, either of those trees.
Fitting it through that driveway, it's going to be tough to get a 10-foot separation. When we're clear of that driveway, then we could pull the gas line out.
I don't recall. We don't have any stands at the end of the track there, right, between where the building's going to be constructed. Now, it's going to be flat ground so that you can get to the end of the field to do the stockpile of the dirt and all. Right?
Yes. Yeah. All aside from the sheds, once you get through here, everything is
Dead flat.
passable. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
I guess there won't be any, will there be any stockpiling of soil on site here? No.
I don't believe so because the floor elevation is lower than the elevation of the existing area. So what's out there is basically going to be removed.
All demo.
Yeah.
Will they be able to dig the foundation of that water retention basin in the front there without interfering with the roots trees?
Yes, and one of the things we've since done is we did a perk test, and the perk test we had located, there's a stone area between the wall and the pavement. We had done it within that stone area, and we didn't uncover any roots while we were digging. And our underground detention basin is further away from the trees than the test pit that we did. So we don't envision any more roots beyond that either.
If I remember correctly from yesterday, it didn't perk at all, is that right?
It did not perk.
What effect does that have on tree roots? I'm an engineer, not a tree person.
On tree roots, I'd have to ask, I'm an engineer too, so I'd have to ask.
It doesn't have any perk.
I mean, it's not meant to hold water, so whatever water comes in is going to be slowed down before it's released. So
it's basically just going to be a catch basin? It's going to be.
It's going to detain the water, so
It's not going to perk.
detention
It's not going to perk out of it.
No, there is a gravel bottom that has the opportunity, but we know that it's not possible. But whatever water backs up in the system will eventually leave the system.
If you head to C2 2.2, and you follow that outlet pipe from that retention pit as it's proposed, it comes out and moves eastward to what looks like another drain box. Is that presently a current drain box, or is that a new drain box?
That is existing.
So it's just tying in,
It's just tying in then to cross the street.
and that's existing, that where it crosses the street, right?
Yes.
And that drain box is going to be new, or that's current?
Everything from that inlet that we're talking about to the west is new. Everything else on the plan is existing. So what,
The inlet box itself.
the inlet box itself is existing.
Okay.
I believe at Shade Tree, at Planning Commission last night, Karen McManuel is going to work with the township staff, because there's another system, I believe, that has capacity for that runoff. And she had talked about perhaps, Doug may remember, knowing that this doesn't perk, piping to an existing system that they're running the calcs on to determine that there is capacity available. So that whole storm chamber system might not be there, if I'm correct.
Well, the storm system will be there. It's going to collect a portion of the roof. What we're also proposing is there are 2 basins in the back of the property that this area, this general area flows to. And one of the basins being underground in the parking area and the other basin being an above-ground basin here. There's a portion of this drainage area that flows through the field and around to the underground, and a separate portion that flows around the pavilion and to the above-ground basin. We are reconfiguring how, what parts of this building flow to each of these basins, as well as collecting a portion of the roof to our new system as well, to ensure that for the whole project, we're not increasing any flow off the property.
Presently, where that proposed pit, the largest retention pit is going to be built, is that impervious right now? That,
Between the wall and the new building?
yeah.
That's impervious, yes. There is a line that mimics the edge of the tree drip line. That's the edge of, there's gravel behind the wall, and beyond that is existing asphalt. And we're not changing that line. We have to raise it a little bit, but we're not changing where the asphalt is.
Is there existing curbing on that side?
No.
Or- No?
No, only curbing exists in front of the wall.
Is there proposed curbing in this
There is
project?
not.
No.
There is not. Some of the water drains out to this existing inlet, and some of the water drains to an existing inlet that's adjacent to the track, which we're also creating a rain garden out of.
Now, currently, there's some grass, a small grass area behind the existing Butler building, is that right?
It's gravel. Yeah. And that area behind the Butler building will all be infilled by the building addition.
Mr. Chair, if I could request that we have the applicant provide revised plans and note in the revision box, revised per Shade Tree Commission, all the items that were brought up with the extending of the tree protection. And then that would, regardless of the decision made by this commission, if they upgrade the plans, because this will be going to the Board of Commissioners, perhaps the second meeting in December for final approval, based on them working out the stormwater calculations with the township engineer, or the first meeting in January. So, but I would like to have it noted that whatever this board determines is actually shown on the plans as revised per Shade Tree.
And including the tree species, Sue, you have that?
Yeah, they really do need to put their species and note that there is no trees being taken down. My recommendation would be, we don't request them to come back, but they revise their plans accordingly. Sue Jones will notify the reviewing engineer that that needs to be on there. And then in the title block, it'll be noted, revisions per Shade Tree Commission of this date.
Board, we have any more comment on this? Can we make a vote? All in favor as stated?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Go ahead with those revisions. Okay, next up, we have 325 Shimoni. Remove existing residence, remove all impervious from site. 100 yards of fill to come in to fill in the house, basement, and pool.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Mark Rhodes on behalf of the Walnut Trust, owner of 352 Shimoni Road. This property is located on Shimoni Road across from the Fenimore Woods Park. It expands from basically where Shimoni Road turns into Walnut. Along that whole, there's a whole arc that it expands along. My clients purchased this property and are in the process, would like to demolish the entire house, the pool house, and the pool itself. They will then infill the basement and the pool as per building code, and then they will top fill it and seat it, is what they're looking to do. They're looking to take down the house, and it will remain that way for the foreseeable near future. Turn it into lawn.
Is the driveway coming out too?
The driveway is coming out all the way down to approximately 30 feet. They will leave 30 feet of the driveway onto Shimoni Road, only just for landscaping and other access points to service the property at that point in time. The gates, if you know the property, there are gates there, the stone pillar gates right beyond the new bridge that the township just installed, and some fencing will be taking that down, and it'll be basically turned into lawn, the entire area, other than just that one driveway being left there. The demolition, we will use the existing driveway. All vehicles will use the existing driveway. We'll basically start in the middle of the house, working our way to each side. The original house, if you're looking at the plan, the original house extends from approximately here to here. That is where the basement is. This is all slab on grade, and this is slab on grade. Pool house is slab on grade, and of course the pool is pool, so it'll be filling at that point in time, and we'll be working through it. It has minimal impact on any really species trees or heritage trees. There are a few miscellaneous which are marked. The cherry trees along the back, 6-inch cherries, and then a 6-inch maple up front, which may be impacted by the demolition, but that would be the only ones that would be impacted at this point in time, and I'm not sure if we could save them considering the demolition, where they are located compared to the rest of the demolition. This property, if you do know it, it does have a lot of trees that are down near Shimoni Road, which aren't shown on this plan, but this is just to highlight where the demolition is going to take place. And it's 3.5 acres worth of property.
Mr. Chairman, just one recommendation to the board, if we could. So even if the maples and the cherries are all removed, that's 5 trees. None are heritage trees. It's within the limit that anybody is able to remove. I would just request they put a note on the plan to that effect. And you can, again, note that it's a revised per shade tree. That way, when an inspector or somebody's going by and they see these little trees going down, it has been in front of you, but it's perfectly within their purview to remove those 5 trees.
We'd be fine with that.
Now, if they were to remove 6, though, then they get to the point where,
Well, I mean, I see the 3 in the back. There's one adjacent to the pool area that could be affected, and the maple at the bottom of the slope. So, and understanding the process of the demolition, and, they're going to be removing this, filling the basement, and then filling the pool, I could see how those trees would be affected in order to accomplish that work. So they are in, again, not saying I want them to remove it, but I could see them coming down. So I would just suggest we have the owner note on the plan, put an X on those trees, but note that there's not a replacement required for those trees. I mean, they're doing a great thing here. We're going back to lawn. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen the other property, the adjacent property, they do care about the environment. There's no doubt with what they do. The way it's not grass, it's meadow, it's very well planted.
And this will hopefully down in the future will be the same.
Do you show a limit of disturbance as far as regrading after this all comes out, or?
Not on this plan, I do not. We did not submit a plan of that. We were just, literally we're taking down the house and filling in and topsoiling. Everything else, all the impervious coverage is coming out. But basically, the outline of the house and the pool is the limit of the disturbance.
It's a pretty big rip out. There's a lot coming out. Would it be advisable maybe for some tree protection along this, the south side where we have some trees? It kind of gets close to some inlets and the pool, maybe just to ensure that the equipment doesn't come down into that south area down here?
We'd be happy to put up some tree protection on that south side. We don't envision coming that way because we do envision coming in the center and then coming this way and pulling back out in this way.
Got it.
And everything's coming out that, but we wouldn't have a problem with putting some tree protection in there.
Does all of the storm water management stay intact on the property?
No, anything that would be in with this, because we'd be taking out all of the property, I mean, we'd be taking out all of the impervious coverage. And I don't believe that there is, yes, there is one basin under here. There is a basin that I believe that the one leads into. I mean, we would leave that in place.
That stays, right?
Yeah, that would stay.
Right. I think they just get cut at the street. And then, we have any other questions, board, for this the project here?
And one of the reasons I think you're leaving the last 30 feet of the driveway is because there's actually a bridge there across the stream. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, are we ready for a vote here? All in favor of the project to proceed? Ayes have it. Go
Good,
ahead.
thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, next up is 206 Upland Way, demo of pool, 120 cubic yards of soil to fill in the pool.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mark Pontition. I represent 360 Excavating and Demolition and the homeowners, Mark and Carol McGaw at 206 Upland Avenue, Wayne. This is a proposed demolition of their swimming pool.
That's the same map we have on this proposal, or?
No, there should be another one there. This one.
Right down flat. With the fish screen.
I don't have that.
Are there any trees on the property?
Yes, there's a 20-inch oak at the bottom here. There's 2 dogwoods right here, and then these are white pine up here at the end. There's nothing in around the swimming pool.
There's nothing in the back of the house, I assume? Yeah, nothing
No,
in the
not to
back.
the property line, no, sir.
So that somebody come in the driveway can get around there without,
Yes, yes. We propose to put tree protection here for the trees at the end, and bring all equipment and trucks up through the driveway and right around to the pool area.
So the pool itself just gets caved in
Yes,
the deck,
yes.
and then you bring in fill?
I bring fill dirt and topsoil
Got
and
it.
seed.
So no concrete coming out, just fill coming in?
Yes.
No trees in the backyard going to be impacted?
No.
And you're going to note to Sue on your plan that tree protection to those 2 white pine trees?
Yes.
Could you also approximate the diameters of those trees so they're on a plan for her also?
Yes.
It's part of our ordinance is to have the diameters at 4.5 feet, the diameters of the trees on your plan.
Yes. They were measured. The white pines are 6 inches back here.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
They're
Yes,
small little,
they're-
oh, okay.
They're baby trees.
Okay. And same with the dogwoods are relatively small
Yes,
also?
yes,
Okay.
very small.
So you're going to continue your tree protection around those white pines on the right
Yes,
and just label the sizes of them?
yes.
You can give that to Sue, and there's no other trees in the back, so. Board, do we have any other comments for
Well,
him
the tree
to?
protection should be the specific tree protection we request. I don't see that's indicated on here.
Right, you're going to need a little detail that is on the website as far as the detail of the tree protection that you need. It's a 6-foot-high chain link
Yes,
on metal posts,
yes.
not the orange fence.
Right.
So if you can make a note of that detail on here too, that's what you're going to be using
Sure.
for tree protection. Okay? Board, do we have any other comment on this pool project?
There's a lot of reasons. It's an old defunct pool. It would cost a fortune to make it usable again.
You want to clean it, Doug? or- All in favor on the project? Ayes have it,
Aye.
as those notes, if you can get that to Sue.
Okay, thank you.
Um, 350 Highland Lane, construction of addition walks patio drive, 690 cubic yards of soil kept on site.
Good, aren't it?
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I was called out of my office on a family matter, and I left without my plans. They're en route to me right now. If I might, thank you very much.
Yeah, we could share. We'll share.
I am the owner at 350 Highland Lane, which is in Bryn Mawr, corner of Highland Lane and Duncan Avenue. This is in the Coopertown neighborhood, right on the far edge of the township. The existing house is to be enlarged from right down here where it is. We're proposing a new addition to come out the rear, along with a new garage driveway off to Duncan Lane, at which there's actually already an existing curb cut for it. I believe a developer did a subdivision back beyond down Duncan Lane, intended to try to purchase the property at some point, wasn't able to do that, but that is already existing, and we will be removing the existing driveway out to Highland Lane and just turning that into lawn. We do not have to remove any trees for our construction. We are preserving all of the mature trees on site, and we will be keeping them intact and providing necessary drainage and so forth.
So where's the new driveway?
Okay, if you just walk us through it, you're going to be, you're going to pull out the existing driveway.
Yes.
Are you going to be leaving your electric service overhead, or is that going to be going underground?
The electric service will remain overhead.
Okay.
So the construction's going to come in through the new driveway?
Yes. And as I say, I do have an existing curb cut for equipment and so forth to access the site.
Okay.
In your legend, I don't see what that stepped line, that zigzag line, is that the limit of disturbance around the whole property?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if we proceed up that kind of northeast property line, up the existing driveway, past the shed you're going to remove, we encounter a couple big beech trees.
Yes.
A 30-inch beech, a 24-inch beech, and we round the bend a little bit to the left, and we have a 24-inch beech. You have a couple grade lines that you're moving a little bit, that 401 line. I assume you're trying to make you're proposed a bit of a swale back there to move any water toward the backyard, around the house, toward the driveway here.
Correct.
You're going to be into that root system a little bit on these beech trees as we come around the bend. You have your tree protection, which is good. You know, you're tight as far as access goes to build this project between the trees and your garage. Approximately, what would that distance be? We're at 120 on this?
Between
Yeah, it's-
this beech tree and the garage?
Yeah. We're about 20 feet?
I would say it's greater than 20 feet. I believe the garage depth itself is 20 feet, and that looks probably nearer to 27 or 8 feet, just by eye.
I mean, the distance from the corner of the garage to that 30-inch beech tree.
Oh, the 30, I was looking
Yeah.
to this one over here,
Yeah.
to this side. Yeah, I would say it's probably just under 20 feet. It's probably around 18 feet.
And then we have your water collection system coming off your gutters there. That's the pipe indicated.
Yes, and that's going around to the seepage bed over in the front of the property.
Right. So there's going to be a lot going on over here between the pipe going in, the actual physical construction, and then this regrade of this swale cut to get the water to flow back away from the house toward the driveway. So there's going to be some root damage to these beech trees. You're going to be impacting them pretty well, the 30 and the 24 in this area. Beech trees don't really like to get their root systems compacted or graded on or driven over in general because they're very shallow rooted trees. So there is going to be some damage to the root system as this construction progresses. So it would be in the best effort to have an arborist on staff to consult with so that you could try, if they are in good shape and you want to preserve them,
I would very much like to.
you may want to consult with our arborist to maybe do a site visit with you to make some recommendations as far as what would be the best proactive approach to try to save the root system that won't be impacted, some fertilization or some mulching that should be done in order to try to conserve moisture and try to help these trees through, because it's going to be very taxing on them. They're going to lose probably about 40% of their root system as this project moves on. So it's going to be a very difficult time for them if things aren't proactively done to help them out.
Understood.
If they were to approach the digging of the foundation for the house and the sanitary line from where the house is and not go past basically where they're talking about the storm water line going around there, that would be keeping it further away from the roots. Would that be
Sure,
advantageous?
anything they could do. I mean, if you can wiggle that, you know, how you have a pretty nice straight line on that 4-inch PVC there, it looks pretty straight. If you can hug the house a little bit more with that pipe. The problem is just the egress as far as being able to build this thing back and forth. When they dig and they bring materials back, you know, there's going to be equipment shuttling back and through this kind of this narrow alleyway to build the back side or the east side of the house here, you know, to actually accommodate the equipment and the material digging the foundation, pouring the concrete, putting up the structure itself, there's not much room here. I mean, we're at 15 feet, so the regular truck is 8 to 9 foot. There's not a lot of space there.
You say you're going to demolish the existing driveway, is that right?
Yes.
Suppose, and it's just a suggestion from an engineer, not a tree person. If you use that to do a lot of the work that's along that east side of the house, or whatever that side of the house is, that would still keep you away from the roots of those trees. Is it possible, you think, to arrange the construction to do that?
Yes, I can leave that and take that out at a later time prior to landscaping the property and doing a lawn and so forth.
Yeah, that'd be most helpful to those trees.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in any bit in my way while we're building, so it doesn't hurt anything to take it out at a later time after most of the structure's completed.
That would help, particularly.
And they're really, I think that would be most advantageous anyway, just because it would give us additional access and additional off-street parking during the construction. So it's a benefit on both sides.
Is there room to move that for the 24 and the 30-inch beach? Is there any way to move that tree protection a little closer to the garage?
Yes. Yeah, we can give them as much of a berth as we possibly can.
Okay, because I thought maybe it was put there because there was a restriction. I mean, that was as far away from the trees as you could get it. That would help, wouldn't it, Jim?
Yeah, to maximize the amount of space the tree has and make enough room for yourself to work, but just enough, give the tree as much room as you can.
Yeah.
Those two trees particularly.
Yeah, I follow you.
The remaining utilities, your water line and your sanitary lateral are going to stay where they are
Yes.
located right now?
Yes.
There's not going to be any change in that?
No.
Okay.
There's no reason to worry about the oak tree that's down near the corner of, was it Duncan and?
Yes, Duncan and Highland. Yes, we're not going anywhere near that tree. And there's some other smaller ones up there in the corner as well.
Board, any more comment for our,
I agree with the trying to protect those beaches the best you can. And I think, Jim, you'll agree too, sometimes years after, you'll see damage. You won't see it right away with compaction on their roots. Wood chips, maybe even as another option, as a cushion, if they can't move that fence, if they're limited with how far they can move that protection fence in. Maybe that's another alternative or option that can be removed later, just to add another cushion if there is any compaction near there. It's another idea.
Well, you said they could move the fence in
Yeah.
more.
Yes.
How many feet more do you think you could get out of there?
I would bet that we could get at least another 5 or 6 feet away and still be able to work.
So then the revised plans would show the tree protection on those two trees, 5 or 6 feet further out.
and possibly a site visit with our arborist to discuss options of what the owner could do to help protect those even further with, on his site visit.
Absolutely, we can set that up, Sue Jones can set that up with John Hosback and the applicant.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
All right. We have a vote on this, board?
Mr. Chairman, I believe you have public comment.
Oh, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Mike Brennan from Carolyn Shade Gardens. Can you comment?
So people at home can hear.
Sorry.
So the people are watching TV.
Hi, I'm Mike Drennan from Carolyn Shade Gardens. The only comment I would make on this is that with respect to the beech trees, they can't take really any surface root. I mean, they're surface rooted and they can't take any disruption at all. I would just encourage you, if you do mulch, you have to remove it, as soon as you're done.
Yeah, you don't encapsulate the trunk.
Exactly. And then, no, you don't cover the surface anywhere near the drip line on a beech tree. That's critically important. I mean, as you know, I mean, you'll really, if you grind them up with heavy equipment, they probably won't come back, or the damage will appear in a couple of years. There also may be a way that you can put a, like a dance floor, you know, stage up over it, just kind of a framework that the equipment can go up over, you know, and get back off of it. But I just encourage you to look into that. I just, with my experience with trees like this, you really have to be extremely careful with the way you are around things. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, our arborist is going to go out and,
Yeah, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next up, we have 200 Ithan Creek Road,
Thank you.
single-family dwelling project, 750 cubic yards of soil kept on site.
Good evening. I'm Scott Emerson on behalf of the applicant for 200 Ithan Creek Road. What we are proposing is there's a demolition. I go back a second. This is a one of 3 lot subdivision that's been before the township several years ago. This is lot 1 of 3, 200 Ithan Creek Road. The parcel itself has an existing detached garage, which is also proposed to be demolished. Essentially, it sits where the proposed house is going to be now. Essentially, what we have is we have 7 trees that will be removed. They're not heritage trees. We do have the tree replacement schedule noted on the plans. They're listed by size and variety of tree. I highlighted my plan to help the board if it's easier to see, because this was kind of tough. The red X's represent the 7 trees that are going to be removed. The green are the replacement trees, just shown, depicted randomly for now, but as part of the replacement specifications. And the yellow is the limited disturbance fencing, and the pink is the chain link fencing detail that the township requires.
It's just 6 trees? 6 trees are being removed?
7. This one hides right by the temporary topsoil stockpile.
I can't read the one by the topsoil stockpile. What size and what kind of tree is that? I can't read.
That was the 18-inch willow.
Are you building up the land? There are a lot of grade lines, topographical lines there. You're building up to the foundation of the house? Is that what's happening?
We are building up. If the board is aware of where this property is located, Ithan Creek is on the southern property boundary of the property. We have to take the floodplain in consideration, so we are raising the house to make sure it's up.
5 feet or 8 feet or something like that?
I think it's about 6, but I'd have to confirm with our engineer.
Do you have an existing conditions map on here?
No. We have just the grading application plan that we had.
Is the driveway presently where the new old driveway was, or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We will be putting a new driveway, but for the construction purposes, we're going to have it remain, and that will be the construction access.
follow down on your sanitary tie-in, all the way down, down, down. What, we're going through a hedgerow, is that off your property there, that tie-in, or?
What that is down there was overgrowth brush, which actually I don't believe is there. The township had installed, well, I should say the owners of Lot 2 and the township combined had installed this new sanitary line, which traverses and exits. This whole area has been cleared, but it was primarily just scrub brush.
Okay. Because you're going off of your property with your tie-in?
Yes,
So you have an easement. Is that township property, this, where your tie-in is, or what is that? That's wetland?
there's wetland to the south. We have the floodplain, and then the easement is owned and the sanitary line is owned by the township, yes.
Okay. So it's just, we're not going through anything valuable here, this is just scrub, whatever.
Yeah, and like I said, that's already been taken out when this component was installed.
Okay.
Probably like 4 months ago. So we're just connecting into the manhole that exists now.
Let's just go over our tree protection. If we start out on Ithan Creek toward, I guess we have north on here. It would be to the left of the driveway presently. We have two large trees, a 36-inch maple and another large tree. I'm not sure what that is. Could we just connect all those together, like that line of tree protection?
Sure.
Just connect it all together from, the driveway entrance. Hook it around, yep, keep on going, follow all the way down toward your green dots at the bottom here. Just make that one continuous line of tree protection.
Yes. Well, the green dots are just, they're replacement trees.
Right,
They don't exist.
okay.
But yes, I understand what you're saying.
And then on the right side of the driveway, if it's possible, to come up that right side and just encapsulate that row of trees, rather than having each single tree, just encapsulate this whole row of trees from the right side of the driveway entrance from Gulf Creek, headed toward, down the property line.
Are you talking about here?
Correct, yes.
This is not our property.
Oh, that's not your property?
No.
We-
But I,
Yellow line, you have a yellow line, that's your property line?
basically, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was tree protection present. It looked like there was tree protection around those trees.
It was part of the overall subdivision when it was through the board
Sorry
several
about
years ago. If, I can't speak, but I believe the tree protection is already up anyway, as that lot is currently under construction.
What do we got going? We have a couple walls, a couple retaining walls in the back, like on that kind of, the panhandle there.
Correct. And they're proposed to come out, to be removed. We're actually regrading around that after the removal.
How, because this was subdivided, right?
Yes,
They start on the neighboring property? Those
They-
walls, they come all the way across?
they do.
Was there a house presently where your house is?
Where our house is shown is where the detached garage was.
Oh, okay.
Over in this
That's where the
vicinity.
house was, I got
Is
it.
where the house was, correct.
Can I ask I cannot determine the size and type of tree that's in the front of the house by the 316 contour. So it's one of your trees. So you're saying green is what you're installing? They're
Yes.
your compensatory trees?
Right.
Correct.
So those three without marks on them are they're not green on our maps, so that's why.
Yeah, I just did it for the board's clarity. But the tree protection schedule, I also squared off in green at the top of the plan. So it shows the sizes and species that we're going to be replacing them with.
Is it colored on there?
It's colored up here, yeah. Oh, can't see it. Right up here.
It looks like you're not going to be taking out all the walls, you're going to be leaving that last tier. Is that correct?
It is. It's not, unfortunately, it's on our property.
It's not on the property?
The wall actually extends over to what is Lot 2 of the subdivision, so a portion of that will remain unless the builder or those owners decide they want to take that out.
So that's basically going to protect that, there's a little pine there, and there's an 8-inch pine, so if that wall stays, then that tree actually gets protected by that wall, right?
So to speak, yeah.
That's the one off the property.
Oh, that pine's off the property too?
Are we talking about this one?
Yeah.
This one's on our property. And it is, we do have the protection around it.
But the wall just to the north of that stays, right? So there's no grade line change in the area of that pine per this map, right?
There is not.
Okay.
Is that a 14-inch beech right in the center there to the left of where the new plantings are going to be? Right that one, yeah. Is that it's a 14-inch beech,
BW?
what's that?
I don't know.
BW.
Black walnut?
Black walnut.
Okay.
Hey, man, all right.
Is that going to make it, Jim?
Well, the way they have this contours on the map here, they're just pushing up along the foundation, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any disturbance to that walnut, depending on, how they stockpile the topsoil, or they're going to build your water management system last, I would assume, right?
Yes.
So the house will already be built by the time that goes in. So your construction route to that water management would have to be in the area of where these new trees are going to be planted. Is that correct, between the front of the house and that black walnut?
Well, when it goes in last, as far as the sequence, once the roof is up, we have the ability to start working with the gutters. That's when the system goes in. So it's not at the end of the project where we would be seeding and landscaping. It's well prior to that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how, because you can't build that, you can't like dump your stone and everything into that from the street if we have the tree protection all the way along the street, you know what I mean? So it'll have to come in, all the stone will have to come in between the black walnut and the footprint of the house. Would that be correct?
Most likely, yeah.
Now, there's 3 green trees on the left-hand side. They're on your property?
They're new.
Anything green's new.
Okay, then, before you plant them, the water retention basin's right next to that, isn't it? That's what we're talking about, right?
No, we're talking about, there's a little walnut tree in the front that's got a red ring around it.
Right.
We're just talking about the egress to build this retention basin.
Right,
And
but-
not damage the walnut tree.
My point was, you could, from the retention basin, you could build it from, if you were, where those 3 trees are going to be put in, you could access it from Ithan Creek Road that way, rather than coming in through the driveway.
Are you talking about coming over through here?
Yeah, or is that not a possibility?
Well, we don't have there's not a construction access proposed. I mean, we don't have a curb cut there.
All right, just a thought.
No, I mean, that would help save the tree if they could do that, but they can't, I guess they can't. I guess what we're trying to limit is the amount of disturbance around that black walnut. If that's a particular tree that you want to save on the property, maybe it's not in that great a shape. Maybe you want to commit to taking it down and planting another tree. We're just worried about the damage that's going to incur to its root system by this constant barrage of back and forth between building the house itself and trying to build this the water retention basin at the same time.
I don't think we'd have a problem throwing another tree in with the intention of saving the tree, but in the event that something like that happens, it's already accounted for. So another tree on this plan was fine with us.
Why don't we put that in then?
Okay.
All right, so we'll add that.
replacement look okay?
Yeah, the replacements are good, willow oak, black gum, it's a wet spot, and the maples all do well where it's wet. It's very wet down here, so everything has to
Right.
has to accommodate where it's, how wet it is. Okay, we have a
Right.
vote on this project here, as with our recommendations. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next up, we have 270 Shimoni swimming pool, 60 cubic yards of dirt, stay on site.
Hi, I'm the applicant, Sloan Walker, hoping to put a pool in. Mike Nealio from Anthony and Sylvan Pools is here to help explain the proposal. I should note right out of the box that we have two small trees that we are proposing to remove, which are not on the plans in front of the commission. Apologies for that. They are on this diagram. There's an 8-inch double file viburnum and a 12-inch or so Coosa dogwood. We are planning to, if permitted, we would like to remove those, but no other tree removal would be proposed.
Sure.
So with that, Mike, do you want to add anything? Or?
You can clearly see our access coming in off of the road there. We have our dotted straight lines as our limited disturbance from the street through our access route to the pool and around the pool. Other than the two that Mr. Walker was mentioning, trees, the only other substantial trees on the property there are 3 of them, as you see. The 2 out front, the one closest to the pool right here, which is a 30-inch maple, and then there's a 24-inch maple all the way over here on the other side of the walkway, and then a 30-inch cherry in the backyard. The closest of those trees to any part of our pool or limited disturbance is that 30-inch maple. The drip line of that tree is approximately 10 feet from our limited disturbance from our access and 20 feet to the closest point of our pool. And that's the closest tree to any major construction that's going on. The other 2 are not really near it, the pool or the access. The 30-inch maple that's the closest to the pool does have on the plan a tree protection line per the regulations of the township with the chain link fence around it.
What's that the heavy black line that's just toward the pool between the maple and the, I see the limited disturbance and then there's a FF?
That is a silt erosion fence
Oh, okay.
for construction.
I got it. Being a 30-inch tree, you know, a heritage tree, we try to look toward that as far as doing what we can to save them. So would it be agreeable if we could maybe make that tree protection fence maybe a little bit wider, maybe take it to the curb to Shimoni, just so we don't have anybody putting anything under it? Would that be agreeable, maybe to take it, you know, in a semicircle all the way around the tree? Would that be
Yes.
possible?
Yep,
Okay.
I know exactly what you're saying.
And maybe on that limited disturbance line, I mean, I see where your grade line is, which is great. You're going to be out of the canopy. Maybe we can just push that up a little bit, just out of the drip line of the tree. I know it's not that close, but if we can just get out of that drip line a little bit with that limited disturbance and the silt fence, just to push it up a little bit toward your, toward, you know, where your grade line is at 385.
Yes.
Just with your silt fence. That way
Yep.
we don't have to cut any.
To get out from under the drip line, right?
Yeah, just to get it out there.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
And we'll hook that.
Both the silt and the tree protection can be
Exactly.
moved out.
Just to stiffen that up against that heritage tree. And the pool equipment.
Pool equipment's up against the house.
Okay. Okay, okay.
And the utilities for this lot, as you can see, the electric is the corner of the house closest to the pool that's overhead, goes out to the street. The sewer is on the other side of the walkway that goes out to the street, and the water is on the other side of that, so they're not really near our access or the construction of the pool.
Okay.
Correct.
Board, we have any other comment as far as the construction here? See the access. Jack, we're good? We have a vote on it? All in favor? Ayes have it. Show us the project. Next up, the high school's not up, but the township building is up, so is that right, or?
Yeah. We did remove the township building parking lot. That'll be on your January agenda.
Okay, so the high school.
So Radnor Township School District is up.
Okay. Site improvements, parking, circulation, access.
Hi, how are you? Tom Hanna with Gilmore Associates. With me is Leo Burnaby from the school district, facilities director. Okay. Tom Hanna with Gilmore Associates. We're here representing the school district, and with me is Leo Burnaby. He's the facilities director with the school district. I'll just give you a little bit of brief background on the project. The school district experiences some dramatic drop-off and pickup chaos, I'll call it, controlled chaos at the beginning and after school, primarily at the back of the school towards Radnor Chester Road and the access off of Radar Road in front of the...
Sorry, which, he's on page 2 here.
You could look just at the general plan on page 2. And maybe even, I can show you on the cover sheet, the overall plan of the school, the two project areas. There's two project areas. One is the student parking lot adjacent to Radnor Chester Road and Radar Road. And then out at the southern end of the school, what is called, we're calling the loop lot. There's an existing parking facility there that we're expanding in front of Loop Field. So as I was saying, that the school district experiences some chaos there in the morning hours and afternoon hours with bus access into the site, student drop-off, and then parent drop-off and pickup. There's a lot of confusion as parents come in to drop their children off near the student parking lot. Currently, there's no real way for those cars to circulate back out to Radnor Chester Road. And oftentimes what happens is parents wind up doing U-turns right in the middle of the driveway with buses and other cars coming through. And then you have students exiting cars, exiting buses, and a whole lot of confusion. So I don't know if, Leo, if you want to add anything to that, but...
The only thing I would add is, if you wouldn't mind, is about the traffic light at the intersection. in conjunction
Right.
with-
So this project is also being proposed in conjunction with a signal improvement at Radar Road and Radnor Chester Road.
Just a quick question, I understood have to do with trees, but why isn't there school zone lights on Radnor Chester Road, like blinking lights?
So as the gentleman noted, so the township is working in tandem with Radnor Township School District for a traffic signal to be placed at Radar Road and Radnor Chester. Talking to our traffic engineer, who is also with Gilmore Associates, Amy Kaminsky, it was determined that actually is not, the school zone is not required there, will not be required. So right now, we have a police officer there every afternoon.
I know, I don't understand how it's not.
So the traffic signal will supplant the police officer.
Yeah.
And, basically from what I've been explained, it's just not going to be required. So access egress to Radar Road, Radnor Chester will be handled by that signal, but a school zone is not required.
How long will it be before that signal's put in there? I mean, because part of it is the development of the property on the other side, isn't that right?
Next summer is the proposed construction.
All right.
Oh, so that's fairly soon.
That's why the school district ties up all contractors in the summer and nobody else can get them, because that's when they do all their work.
Sorry about that.
So there's another engineering firm, a traffic engineering firm called TPD, or Traffic Planning and Design, that is designing the improvements to Radnor Chester Road, and they're submitting that highway occupancy permit application to PennDOT and to the township for their review. So we're here to talk about the parking lot and circulation improvements on site. What we're proposing is a reconstruction of the student parking lot, one to provide access, a direct access out to Radnor Chester Road with a right turn only. Also within that student parking lot, you would then be able to circulate back out to Raider Road and back to the signalized intersection if you were turning left and going south on Radnor Chester Road. The other improvement to Project Area 2 on Loop Field is the existing spaces that face the school are currently there. What we're doing is expanding parking on the other side of that and creating a loop at the end of that parking. Right now, that's a dead-end parking area. There. So this is the loop that would be constructed. There are several trees that are going to come down as part of this. Our demolition plan on sheet 4. I'm sorry, it's existing features on sheet 4. Demolition plan on sheet 5. I believe there's 7 trees on the student parking lot side and 6 trees on the loop field side that will be removed. We are proposing tree replacement on our landscaping plans further back in the set. I would note that there is one 30-inch tree there on the slope of Project Area 2, or the loop field area that will come out as part of that. What we have to do on that side is create a retaining wall to build the additional parking spaces along that side of the parking lot. And so we are proposing tree protection fencing that can be seen on our erosion control plans on sheet 10, on sheet 9 and 10. On sheet 9, there are a few pine trees on the south side of the student lot and along the existing sidewalk on the proposed drop-off area adjacent to the school that we'll be protecting. And on sheet 2, there's an existing tree in the island adjacent to the school here that we'll be protecting, and some other trees along the perimeter of the work area here. So our tree replacement calculations are shown on our landscaping plans on sheets 13 and 14. And sheet 14 shows the loop field replacement calculations and plant schedule. So we do have a detail for the tree protection fencing on there, noting the 6-foot high chain link fence, but I think we need to replace it with the actual township standard. We'll be happy to do that.
Can we walk through this landscape plan?
Sure.
Everybody, can we get on this page 13 with our landscape plan? Looks like a number of trees going back in, which is great. We always like to see the canopy coming back. A lot of honey locusts going in. Anybody have any thoughts on honey locusts? And parking lot, Josh, you got a lot of parking lot.
They can be messy. They can be dropping a lot of small branches. I would be concerned about that around cars, maybe. What are your thoughts? One thing stuck out in my mind, not to get off your subject, but the Valley Forge elm versus a Princeton elm. Maybe you want to go with a Princeton instead.
You got to change that variety of that elm out from Valley Forge to another hybrid disease-resistant Princeton. The Valley Forge has a really bad branching habit, and it's low and wide. It's just a mess. So
They're a little wild when they're young, and
very hard for us to get them up as a decent tree, particularly where they're going to be in the right-of-way in these parking areas or anywhere near a building. They'd be out of control. So the Princeton's more vertical. You want to get them pruned correctly and get them up.
Okay.
So take that one out.
Sure.
If we could substitute, I know I'm trying to see where the rest of these locusts are going. GT is the locust. Is this the whole row of your new proposed exit drive is going to be lined with locusts? Is that all of them along that row then? 9 of them in a row?
No, I think there's 4 there, and then the elm were the other 5.
Oh,
I see the line, connecting line.
you're every other one
Every
you're
other
doing?
Yeah,
You're doing elm, locust, all the way down?
correct.
Jim, what's your concern about the locusts?
I don't know, they just get so big, they just get in the way of everything. They're constantly in need of pruning. I mean, it's a tough tree to keep. I mean, they're overplanted a lot of times. I don't want to create a monoculture. They did break them up. I thought this was a whole line of locusts. I couldn't really read that correctly, so I apologize. I thought there was one elm, and that was 9 locusts in a row, and they get out of control as far as trying to keep them as an alley tree.
Mm-hmm.
Their branch habit does become descending rather than upright, like this Zelkova has more of a V shape, which is ascending growth habit instead of a descending. We're just going to be hitting buses and the cars, and they're going to be in people's face all the time.
Okay.
Are there, the other locusts are along front of the building? That's 5. That would be along the main drive, right? I don't know,
I mean, I'm not married to those. I'll talk to our landscape architect and have
maybe along
get
the along the alley,
Mhm.
between the elms and the elm and the Zelkova are going to have a similar growth habit as being up, not down. What you're going to have is you're going to have an elm that's going to be up, and then you're going to have this tree that's kind of a pancake every other one. You know what I mean? So if you want a little bit of symmetry in this alley as you go out, you could either stick with all of the Zelkovas or elm and Zelkovas that would have more of a growth habit, not going to be hitting the buses and that kind of thing. It would create a better sight line for you. Maybe you can talk to that with your landscape architect to see if you could get a kind of a cross-sectional view of what this would look like as these trees would be maturing, to see what the effect's going to be. Because how it is now, you're going to have an upright and like a pancake. It's going to be this mismatch of kind of shapes as you would be down this. I mean, this could be this could be a really nice exit drive for you, if it's done correctly. So that's something to take into consideration.
All right.
But if you could switch out that variety of elm, it's going to be very important to talk to your landscape architect to switch that out.
Sure.
To the variety, the Princeton variety, which is a hybrid that's disease resistant but has a different growth habit. It's not as spready and sprawly. That tree would be all over it would really be a mess there.
Okay.
All right. Do we have some more comment about the selection here for this section? And then we have the landscape is the next page. The 14 is the plan for the
loop drive. Right. just so you, just so you appreciate the grading there, there's a slope now that comes down from the existing parking lot. So we're building a retaining wall to construct these parking spaces out. So there'll be a retaining wall drop off of about 6 to 8 feet down to the play field there. So that's why we don't have any trees shown along the face of that retaining wall in here, as they'll be down below the parking area.
I know that when my daughter was playing soccer, which was a while ago, they would just sit on the side of that hill. They're going to have something like that for kids to sit on?
Well, we're proposing a ramp, actually, that will come from the center island here, and we'll do a switchback down along there. So the other thing that we'll have is a fence at the top of the retaining wall, and there's about a 4-foot space between the end of the parking area and the retaining wall. So there's potential for people to stand along the fence there at the top of the wall, or then down along the switchback ramp that comes down to the, yeah.
Just note on this again with that variety of elm.
Sure.
Stay away from that Valley Forge. The sugar maple, this legacy does have a nice growth habit that's tight, so that'll be a nice tree with your Zelkovas and utilities on the corner. They're going to take up some space, so if you can just talk with your landscape architect about putting those Tilias in that bus loop. There are 2 lindens in that loop. This loop's going to be tight, with the buses going around it. And you don't want these trees to be constantly folding out into that area. They're in the center island. Yeah. Maybe if they want to, maybe if they want to flip those out and not put the lindens that would be so wide in there, but put more of a tree that's going to be more upright, that's not going to be all, in time, this loop could get very tight with these trees that want to get wide, particularly those lindens that are in that island. And the possibility, if it's possible, to stage those trees along the outside back a little bit to give yourself some growth room for them to be away from that circle.
Okay.
As they grow. They wouldn't be right on top of you in 5 years,
That's only going to be cars going through that loop, though, right? You shouldn't have buses.
Primarily. I mean,
it's not gonna be buses, okay.
it's sized so that a fire truck can get around there, but.
Okay.
I thought it was for the buses.
Yeah.
I think that's just more parking for cars.
I mean, I don't know.
It's intended for cars, but
Yeah.
buses will fit, so they'll make the turn.
They could go through.
Yeah.
But that's good advice, thank you. Well, I was looking at that.
Yeah.
If they could push them back a little bit, that way 5 years, they're not going to be rubbing into everything. And then they can become big canopy trees that would be over everything rather than into everything,
Mr. Chairman, might I suggest then that we have the applicant note the changes per shade tree commission, the changes of the genus and species of the trees per shade commission's requirements or requests, and they would then be able to move forward in their process.
That's fine. We have a vote on this with these recommendations, board?
Well, do you want to see, I mean, they can proceed with the design and so forth. Do you want to see what kind of trees they pick?
No, I just recommended to make that one variety change of that elm, which would be fine.
And the honey locust.
And
We'll
honey
look
locust,
at
yeah,
that.
yeah.
What did you request instead of the honey locust?
Well, if, along that main drive, if they just wanted to switch out some of the honey locusts for the Zelkovas, they could use the honey locusts in the other locations, maybe not along that driveway there. They could just use the same plants, but in different spots, that's all, to get them out of the traffic. Okay? All in favor here? Ayes have it, to proceed.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
That traffic pattern's been like that forever, though, hasn't it?
I'm sorry?
That traffic pattern's been like that forever, hasn't it?
Wasn't that way when I was there.
No?
Wasn't
just finally caused enough pain that you want to change it.
Buses back then?
They had horses in front.
Mr. Chairman, if I could run through the hazardous trees for the Shade Tree Commission real quickly?
Go ahead, Steve.
So these were all approved by John Hosback, the Township Arborist. So John does come out and review these trees. So at 242 Lowry's Lane, 39-inch oak tree, which he called dead, which was removed. 219 Comrie, 40-inch poplar and 30-inch poplar with root decay and a heavy lean. The owner wanted the other removed, will be replaced with 6 trees per our ordinance. 297 Upper Gulf, a 38 and 39-inch oak, well, one being struck by lightning, the other dying and shedding large branches respectively. 105 Fairfax, 48-inch oak. Resident felt it was a hazard, so John's requiring 6 trees to be planted. 448 South Ithan, a 40-inch oak, storm damage in the crown, decay and dead limbs. And 245 Ashwood, a 31-inch ash with a large vertical crack at ground level with decay. A 20-inch ash tree, 80% dead top. 32-inch ash tree, double-trunked, large cavity at base. And at VFMA, we have 42-inch red oak, 80% dead at top. 42-inch white pine, dead. 36-inch white oak, dead.
With the 448 Ithan, John has quite a recommendation here. Oh, no, not, yeah, let's see, I'm getting confused here. Tree is already partially removed, he was stopped.
That was Fairfax.
That's Fairfax, okay. Oh, Fairfax, yeah, now with Fairfax, I noticed that the company wasn't noted there. The company wasn't licensed, is that the one?
Right. So they had to go back to Sue to obtain a license, is that correct, Sue? And once the license was granted, then they continue with the removal under the condition that the homeowner, John had requested from the homeowner because he hadn't seen the tree, only pictures, that they put in 6 compensatory trees, and that was agreeable by the homeowner at that point, so?
Now, do we redact the name of the tree companies when you put, I don't see it there.
Yeah, there's a handwritten note.
Dan Stifle?
You'll notice there's a memo in there, from the
Yeah.
homeowner requesting an extension until mid-April or so. We did check with one of the commissioners, and that will be on our list to follow on with and make sure that the plan.
Right, but I don't see the name of the, huh?
Lawn General, L-A-W-N General.
The lawn general?
I think so, it says Lawn General.
Oh, okay. I was, okay. And they are licensed now? This street is one of the, that along with Lowry's Lane is right in my area. Both those streets have been totally denuded. I mean, it's just like, I think sometimes the tree removal thing's like an epidemic, you know? When one person removes one, it like spreads, it's like a disease that spreads. But that street has lost all their shade trees. It's almost, because I think in the future, we're looking at, for recommendations for streets that need a lot of replanting.
That's correct, for the big tree program.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was and that tree was huge, it was beautiful. But there's small lawns, but there's no overhead wires or anything on that street, and there's no overhead wires on the side of Ithan. That's just completely a desert now. There's no shade trees, almost from Conestoga Road, almost to the railroad bridge there. It's completely empty, and there's no overhead wires. And they just, tree after tree after tree has been taken out there. So that street I've been watching, it's just a shame. There's nothing left in both those streets. So you might want to keep those 2 streets in mind.
What we'll do next year is come back to this commission when we're getting ready. This year we didn't do it, but that is one of the plans, is instead of going house to house and replacing trees that the township took down in the past that were in the right-of-way, was to look at a neighborhood or streets and actually plant those streets to get
Right.
that future, canopy
Right, that's why I brought that
back.
up,
So
yeah.
we'll come back to this commission and get your recommendations.
Okay, yeah. So what do we go, do we have to approve him doing this later?
No, this is more informative. So in that process, obviously we only meet monthly.
Right.
And these come in throughout the month. So John Hosback will go out. He communicates with the chair and Sue, and mainly with Sue, saying, I reviewed it, it's okay, they need to plant 6 trees. So we're more or less informing the Shade Tree Commission, as opposed to somebody who would come here and say, hey, I have this 48-inch tree, I'd like to do something. A lot of these we're addressing, since we have the arborist on staff, or on retainer, we're addressing a lot of these on a daily basis.
Okay, so as far as, our decision today, John is going to get back to that tree company.
Correct. Well, from this point on, staff will handle to make sure that the trees are replanted and all that.
Because I don't think that property can hold 6 trees, so, but John will look into that.
Yes.
Okay, I think this concludes our meeting, and I am retiring from the board. My 10-year term is up, so.
It's supposed to be sad, not cheering.
And we have a new member in our midst here. If you want to come up and say hi to everybody. So, good night.
Thank you very much for your service. Greatly appreciated by the township.